Hi, I'm Jason Garrison with your CincyJungle.com free agency report. CincyJungle.com, of course, is your source for the best and most up-to-date Cincinnati Bengals news. The Bengals were pretty inactive early in free agency. The first couple of days went by with no signings whatsoever. They said that their main focus in this off-season period would be to re-sign their own players. And there are a few players that they want to re-sign. First and foremost, I think free safety Reggie Nelson. They want to keep him around. He really revitalized his career in 2011. He's supposedly deciding between the Jets and the Bengals today. He spent the last couple of days in New York City, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Outside linebacker Manny Lawson had a pretty good year in 2011. He was effective against the run and also was a pretty decent pass rusher as well, so I'm sure they want to bring him back. Unfortunately, they have lost two players. Defensive lineman Jonathan Fanene signed with the New England Patriots, and Frosty Rucker signed with the Cleveland Browns. I know those were both players, especially Rucker, that they wanted to keep around. Rucker won a starting job at defensive end over Michael Johnson last year. There are some players that they're interested in. The following players they have either brought in for a visit or are bringing in for a visit this coming week. Cornerback Terrence Newman was with defensive coordinator Mike Zimmer when they were both in Dallas. But he's a little bit older, so I don't know if they'll be interested in him or not. Defensive end Kendall Langford, they seemed interested in him, but I think that, Kendall Langford signed with another team, so it doesn't really matter anymore. Guard Jacob Bell, they seemed interested in him. He's not much of an upgrade over Nate Livings or even Mike McGlynn. Tight end Kendall Davis, he re-signed with the Chicago Bears. Cornerback Aaron Ross, they seemed interested in him. He was a starting cornerback for the 2011 Super Bowl champions, the New York Giants. Running back Ben Jarvis Green Ellis, he's made a name for himself as being a tough runner up in New England. He's always had a committee of running backs up there. I'm sure he wants to be the main guy. Michael Bush is kind of the same way. He's been stuck behind Darren McFadden in Oakland for a long time, and Michael Bush, I'm sure, wants to carry a team by himself. He's supposed to come into Cincinnati Monday. And cornerback Tracy Porter, he spent the last few years in New Orleans, and you may remember him. He's the one that picked off Peyton Manning when the Saints won the Super Bowl. That ended the Colts' comeback attempt. Now, the Bengals have signed two players. This all happened on Saturday afternoon and evening. They finally came out of their slumber and signed a couple guys. They signed guard Travell Walton. He spent the last 8 years in Carolina. He is a solid run blocker. He lacks a little bit in the pass protection, but he will be a big boost when it comes to run production at left guard. So the Bengals have to be pretty excited about that, and whatever running back ends up playing in Cincinnati in 2011 should be pretty excited to run behind Walton and left tackle Andrew Whitworth. They also signed cornerback Jason Allen. He spent his first few years in Miami. He's a first-round pick before he went to the Houston Texans. He was kind of a backup role there. He started a handful of games in 2011. He's really athletic, but he gets burnt sometimes. So I don't know if they're going to plan on using him as a starter and maybe draft a rookie and let him be the third quarterback, or vice versa. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. They may even still be interested in signing Ross or Porter as well. So obviously free agency will drastically change the way that teams draft. It'll change the way the Bengals draft. Now, if they had signed a guy like Carl Nix or Ben Grubbs, I don't know if they will have drafted a guard in the first round. However, without signing one of those top-tier guys, I'm pretty sure they'll still go after a cornerback and probably a guard in the first round. So I don't know if it changes much for the Bengals. But some other teams, like the Cowboys, who picked up Brandon Carr, they may not go after a cornerback anymore in the first round. So it'll be interesting to see who falls to the Bengals now. And obviously, thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/SBN Cincy Jungle. And then while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to SB Nation's channel at youtube.com/SB Nation. Fiend.